Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says there is need for an urgent check on the recent spate of military coups in African countries to avoid returning the continent to the Cold War era. The Vice President and former President Olusegun Obasanjo also harped on the need to strengthen democracy in Africa. They made the call in Abeokuta during the opening session of a two-day democracy conference held at the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library. The conference, organized by the Coalition for Dialogue on Africa, was also attended by the Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun, former President Goodluck Jonathan, former President of Sierra Leone, Ernest Koroma, and Professor Pat Utomi. Resolutions reached at the conference are expected to be passed on to the economic community of West African states and political leaders across West Africa.
Power grabbing and the governance through the gun will not help us, nor procure democracy through the judiciary. What we need is peaceful democracy that has respect for the will of the people and the future of our nation.
In other words, we have developed a fairly robust language of censure and a sophisticated punitive framework for responding to extra-constitutional political interventions. But we have not yet been able to formulate a similarly sophisticated framework for addressing the infractions of elected governments that fall short of democratic best practices or break faith with their citizens. If this concern is left unaddressed, it will deepen the perception of regional groupings such as ECOWAS as being no more than elite transnational clubs of powerful leaders only interested in maintaining their own privileges.
Elsewhere, the Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, says it is working out a master plan that would make the commission and the 6 states that make up the zone become self-sufficient by the year 2030. Managing Director of the Commission, Mohammed Al-Khali, disclosed this at a stakeholders meeting in Jalingo, stating that all operational internally displaced camps in the region will be closed down by 2030. Owolabi Adenose filed in this report, after which we'll have business news.
Northeast Development Commission was created to address plight of the people in the region who have borne the brunt of a 12-year insurgency and has displaced over 1 million people and resulted to massive destruction of infrastructure. The commission is tasked with assessing, coordinating, harmonizing, and reporting all intervention program and initiative by the federal government or any of its ministries, departments, and agencies, MDA states. In line with this core mandate, in this consultative meeting with the Taraba State stakeholders on the Northeast Stabilization and Development Master Plan, NESDMP. The Managing Director of the Commission, Mohammed Goni Al-Khali, says the Stabilization and Development Master Plan, NESDMP, the Commission is developing for the Northeast region is to ensure states in the zone become self-sufficient. The ultimate aim of the master plan is to eliminate dependence on federal allocation by 2030.
The situation in the Northeast is very fluid. It is changing. And our plan is a holistic plan, but it takes into consideration the fluidity of the situation and the need to make adjustments as the needs arises.
Chairman of the committee heading the master plan project explained the time frame for the implementation of the master plan will also see to the closure of internally displaced persons IDP camps across the state.
By 2030, we wouldn't want to have any IDP camp remaining in the whole region. In fact, as we speak now, in the preceding year, that's 2021, about 4 camps were closed down in Borno State, and that's why we have the concentration of IDPs.
Taraba State Governor Darius Ishaku, who also spoke, promised the continuous support of the state government to the activities of the NEDC. He appealed for more interventions in the state to ensure residents feel the impact of the commission.
We are pleased that the Northeast Regional Master Plan has included our development agenda, known as the Taraba State Rescue Master Plan.
The proposed 10-year NESDMP has 10 pillars which will encompass the relevant aspect of the Taraba State development plans and those of other partners.
Still in Abuja, a federal high court has threatened to strike out the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission suit against former governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha. Justice Inyang Eko gave the warning following a complaint by Cosmas Ugu, counsel for the EFCC, that all efforts made by the agency to effect service of court processes on Senator Okorocha had proved unsuccessful. We have more in this report.
Senator representing Imo West Senatorial District, Senator Rochas Okorocha, is expected to be arraigned on a 17-count money laundering charge. Justice Inyang Eko had on 22nd February adjourned the arraignment until 28 March after the EFCC pleaded with the court over the agency's inability to serve the senator. But when the matter was called, counsel to the EFCC informed the court that the matter had been slated for arraignment of the defendants. He noted that several efforts made to effect service so that all defendants could be charged together were unsuccessful.
It must be served before the next date. So let's see. They must have their reasons for not being able to serve him up to now. And it's not for me to either answer for EFCC or answer for Rochas.
Justice Eko said though he would grant the prayer for another adjournment, if he came up with the same excuse on the next adjourned date, the matter would be struck out. He then adjourned the matter till 30th May. Celestine.
73% of Nigeria's population has access to a water source, but only 9 liters of water on an average is available to a Nigerian daily. To this end, Nigeria's Minister of Water Resources has revealed that Nigeria has now secured a $400 million loan to expand the distribution network for water supply in order to change this situation. This disclosure was made during an interactive session with the minister on Monday. Kemi Balogun has details.
Water scarcity contributes heavily to poor household and education outcomes for citizens in Nigeria. 86% of Nigerians lack access to a safely managed drinking water source. This is further compounded by poor drinking water quality and a lack of equity in access.
The dam projects that we've been discussing are all basically going to be BOT financed, except for Gurara.
To address this, the Ministry of Water Resources admits that although it is not responsible for the provision of water to homes, but it is doing its own part in building the structures for distribution. It says part of the challenge has to do with the population explosion in urban areas like Abuja, which has created a setback on the available infrastructure for water supply.
The problem is transmission and distribution, the conveyor. So they are working on additional loops. And I'm sure in the next 4 or 5 years, we will have a much more improvement in the water supply. And part of the problem is the population grew much faster than the infrastructure that is being provided.
The minister also urges state governments to contribute their own quota through investments for their states.
You will see urban water supply improve only when state governments invest more. We have given them the incentives. We now have Sowash that is addressing 6 states, our 6 urban water schemes.
The ministry says it is working on additional loops within the next 4 and 5 years to have an improvement in water supply. Improving the distribution network of water supply will not only help the millions of Nigerians who do not have access to it, but will also cut down on the numerous diseases that spring up due to the lack of it. Kemi Balogun, TVC News, Abuja.